Welcome to Pat Soundbites IGTV. Keeping new music alive is what I do on the radio and now on video. Conducting live chats with the artists and learning the stories behind their latest release and also playing their new video. Special thanks today to my sponsor Go-Go Tuners for all guitar players looking for a focus on ease of use, readability, durability, and accuracy. Look no further. The Go-Go Tuner is the choice of many touring professionals and a favorite of casual players. Go-Go's signature green you're in and red you're out screen makes tuning quick and easy. For more information, go to the website at gogotuners.com. Special thanks to WBXO Classic Rock Radio Redefined, allowing me to keep new music alive on the radio airways on the Pat Show every Sunday from 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Only on WBXO Classic Rock Redefined. And a big thank you to Mr. Evan Balzer for allowing me to use his amazing instrumental that you're hearing right now. It's called Trails. To find out more incredible music by Evan, go to his website at evanbalzer.com. Well, my guest today is a singer, a songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist, and he's an incredible storyteller. I love his music. From Connecticut, Mr. Brian Larney. Brian's been a guest on my show on WBXO. He's performed a few tracks there, and he's recently released a new album called I Catch Fire, which came out on February 5th and is available on Bandcamp. We're going to talk to Brian about the album. We're going to play the video for I Catch Fire and a whole lot more right here on Pat Soundbites IGTV. Hey, live on Pat Soundbites IGTV, keeping new music alive on the radio and also on video. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day, but today is Brian Larney Day, Blarney Day, as we celebrate or get ready for St. Patrick's Day. And speaking of Brian Larney, my good friend Brian Larney, singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist. He does it all. My man Brian Larney, based out of Connecticut, is in the house today. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing well, Patrick. Thanks for having me.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, I said thank you for having me. This is going to be fun. So.
No, it's great. We've had you at the radio station. There's no end in sight with Brian Larney. Only you and I know that, but Brian's got 2 tracks, both titled No End in Sight, that don't ask me. I think I listened to every one of your songs when I was first preparing to interview you, and I found that. And you said, you're like the first guy that's ever picked that up.
You were.
But, from the town hall, from Surrender Dorothy, from at the starting line, from my favorite, oh my goodness, White, oh my, Brian, we'll talk about that. And then Trabant, right? Am I saying that right? Trabant?
Trabant, yep.
Trabant. And now I Catch Fire. Brian just released an album, I Catch Fire, that came out on February 5th. The whole album is available on Bandcamp, telling everybody to buy. Don't download and steal, buy. This man works extremely hard. Very talented guy. And without touring and everything, and buy a shirt, by the way. Buy a shirt. Buy all his CDs. Please, brianlarney.com. Check that out. It's all good, man. You are like an energizer bunny. I'm writing my notes down. I go, okay, 2016 Surrender Dorothy, 2017 at Starting Line, 2018 White, 2020 Trabant, and now 2021. I'm like, what motivates you to just keep going, Brian?
I don't know. It's like a compulsion. I joke. I had a friend, and she was a guitar player, and she used to call it a disease. It's like it's in you. Once it's in you, you kind of can't shake it. So what ends up happening is time passes by, and if I start to get anxious. Like if I put out a record, like I did Trabant last February, by let's say June of last year, I was starting to feel like, oh my God, I got to do another one. I have to do another one. It's just, I'm just driven to do it. I love making records, and I feel like I have lots of songs in me that I want to, create and get out there. It's pretty straightforward stuff.
It's a beautiful addiction, is what it is, Brian.
Whoa!
How do you like that one, huh?
That was great, man.
One of the tracks on I Catch Fire that I fell in love with, I said, I like them all, Brian, but Beautiful Addiction, boy, that hit home. And I think a lot of folks can relate to that. And you said it's your favorite, but obviously they're all your babies. So they're all your
They're all my favorite. I say that, if somebody mentions the song, I'm always like, yeah, that's my favorite. Because, they are. I mean, for a period of time, they are your favorite song, because as you're working on them and building them, putting them together, you don't really say, well, this one's not as good as the last. I mean, you actually, for that period of time, you're in love with that song. So that's what happens. And Beautiful Addiction was
talk to me about that song. Where did that come from? How did that come about?
Oh God, I mean, I've spent a lot of time obsessing over great writers like Paul McCartney, right? So, and other, like, I love Michael Penn. He's another one. I don't know if you're familiar. And Neil Finn. These are all people who sort of seep into me somehow.
Coldplay, not Coldplay.
Neil Finn's Crowded House.
Yeah, Crowded House, right.
Yeah, right. Yep. He's a wonderful writer, New Zealand singer, songwriter. And I followed him for years. But so there's a certain way that they put songs together that sort of informed Beautiful Addiction. It's a Beatlesque kind of chord change, and so that's what was happening. Lyrically, interestingly, I when I first wrote it, it was called Brutal Addiction. And it's funny, it had the same meaning. I mean, all the other lyrics were the same, except for instead of saying beautiful addiction, I said brutal addiction. And I thought, geez, that sounds really harsh. And it's meant to be a song about personal pain, but, but it's also very beautiful. It's something you need, so that this idea of being that deeply enamored, makes it beautiful. It's painful, but it's beautiful. So when I fell upon the word beautiful, I said, yeah, that's it. That's how I want to do it. So.
Is songwriting therapeutic for you, Brian? Now you got all this and you just using music to express these ideas, these things that have, good relationships, bad relationships, great outdoors, vessel by the water. Is it just a way of helping you get stuff out?
I don't know.
I don't know if I'm saying it the right way.
No, I get it. I wonder about that myself. I mean, it's at this point, it's something. It's such a compulsion, for lack of a better word. It's something I just need to do. So I hear a lot of songwriters say, well, this happened to me, or this happened to somebody I know, and it inspired me to write a song. I write the song anyway, and so I sort of I have a back catalog that's really big, and I have a list of.
I was going to say you got to have a journal or something that you wake up.
I do, yeah. So yeah, I do, and I've moved into the 21st century on my phone. I just will, put into it the idea, and then I collect them all and keep them all in a journal of things that I want to write about. Sometimes I forget what the inspiration is, and I'll just go look and I'll see the lyrical idea or the name of the song. Sometimes I just write down title ideas, and I'll go and I'll look and I say, well, that sounds like something I might want to write about. It may not be the same feeling I had initially, but it reminds me of another feeling, kind of thing. So I do a lot of that. Yeah. So I mean, it feels like it's like a hamster wheel.
It just keeps coming, right?
I don't mean that negatively.
No.
It's a very positive experience, but it's something I just want to do. I just want to do it. I just want to make songs.
When you go into the journal, do you so maybe talk to me about the process? The albums are coming out. It seems like February. first quarter, like Trabant was February
Yep.
of last year. I mean, you start June, July. Are some of the songs like you go, I forgot about that. I wrote like 5 years ago that you think is like more relevant today, like The Crossing or something of what the country's going through with protests and all that.
It's funny because The Crossing was written before a lot of what we've seen in the past year or so. And it does seem a little more relevant. It might be fun to do a new version of it or clean up the video and put out something.
No, it's perfect. I love it.
Leave it as is. All right. Yeah, so I forget where were we going with this question?
No, just if you've written a song or just wrote a riff like, a couple of years ago, and then you open up the journal in June or July and try to get back into the creative thinking of where am I going to go? Am I going to do a concept album? And then you start using some of these songs that, I wrote that down, and maybe it's time to put that in an album.
That happens a lot, and you alluded to the idea of No End in Sight and having multiple versions of it. It was sort of like that. Like I wrote the original No End in Sight around the Surrender Dorothy time, and that's what's on Surrender Dorothy. And then later, I was just like that. I didn't feel like I was done with that idea, kind of thing. So it came back as a different song entirely. But to be more specific, to answer your question, there's lots of songs. I record a lot of ideas, so either in full demo or just on my iPhone. I have a little 4-track, and I'll just acoustic guitar and my voice, and I'll revisit them periodically. Or one will pop into my head, and I'll go dig it up, and it just seems right at the moment. And I'm trying to think if there's anything on any of the records that are like that, like. Did I Catch Fire? Is there anything that was older? Yeah, Beautiful Addiction. There you go. Beautiful Addiction was written probably in 2015.
Wow.
So, and it sat out there for a long time, and I forgot about it completely. And then, like I said, periodically I'll go through the files on my computer and I'll find old demos. And I saw one called Brutal Addiction, and I said, "What's this?" And I played it, and I thought, "Wow, that feels really what I want to do now." It really felt like a complete idea that I can explore now, and so I did. And like I said, I changed the lyric at the last minute.
You need. I know you have no issues putting out videos, and I think the last time we chatted, the plan was certainly to put out as many videos as you can. I think I saw on your website, Just Watch Me is coming out in a couple of days on the 19th, I believe.
Yeah, on Friday it'll be out. There's a whole new video for it. It's a music video, so it's not just a lyric video this time. And that's coming out Friday, so I can't wait. So
no, I'm excited. So I know, you got and you come up with a great concept, those ideas. I mean, Bad Things, they're great. I love that song. And the idea of the whole Western and the sheriff, and that is so perfect. How that song is not a hit. Beautiful Addiction should be in. I Got Fire should be in. One of the songs I fell in love with, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think you've ever put it on an album just yet. I think you released it as a single and a video, and I love the song, was Sacred Tea.
Right.
I'm like, any thought of why you did not put it on the album, or just let it go?
I was gonna put it on the so it came out after White, I think, and before Trabant, and it was a song that I was working on for what was to become Trabant, and I just felt like I wanted to do it now. So it was the summertime, and White had been out for a little while, and I was just like, I really want to do this song now. So I did it. And I made a video for it, which was really fun. I went up to Saugerties, New York, at this beautiful old farm, which was converted essentially into like a venue. I don't know if you've seen the video, but
of course I have. Yes, yeah.
The room we're in is they move all the furniture out and they set up chairs and they have a little stage and whatnot, and they have concerts there in the summer. It's really just a beautiful experience. It's just classic, I guess, New England, I guess. I'm not quite sure what you want to call it, but it's just wonderful. So we did that video in that summer, and I thought, I want to put it out now. So I did. Then Trabant came about, and the songs take on a certain direction, and Sacred Tea just didn't feel right.
Just didn't fit in that.
Yeah, I mean, it may fit somewhere someday,
It's a beautiful song. It's a great
Thank
video. And there's a lot of that, you found that venue in Songwriter. There is a lot of that in that Woodstock, Ulster County, Kingston. There's a lot of those little places that are out there that fit beautifully for certainly a music video.
Oh, absolutely. It's funny because after we shot the video, the guitar player and I, we drove up together, and we were supposed to shoot a second day. So we'd gotten a hotel nearby and all that. And we wrapped it up in one day. So we were like, okay.
This was Eric, right? I want to say Eric.
Yeah, Eric, the same guy who interviewed me, right? Yeah. So we explored Woodstock, and there's a temple at the top of a mountain up there. And he's like, I think there's a temple around here. So we asked, and we found it, and it was Tibetan monks, and it was just this amazing experience. I mean, I half expected the monks to kick us out, and because we went there, and there was actually some ceremony going on, and there was
chanting and their whole little thing.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So we got to see a lot of that, and they even let us into the temple. I mean, as long as we were respectful, I mean, they were really welcoming, and it was just. It turned into this total magical experience, and it was just a perfect way to end the wonderful day of shooting and all that other stuff. So it was just a great day altogether.
Beautiful. I Got Fire. I mean, I listened to it, the video. We're going to play I Got Fire at the end of our chat for all my listeners and Brian's fans, and hit Brian's subscribe button and share it. It's a great track. Boy, it's so easy listening. I close my eyes when I listen to the tracks. As you know, I'm a lyric guy. I want to try to understand the story, although everybody has their own interpretation of songs, and that's what's great about music. Boy, but it brought me right to Todd Rundgren. It just brought me right to, for whatever reason, I'm thinking, wow, I don't know if Brian thinking of Todd Rundgren, but it's a great track. Something to do with Pennsylvania, the Keystone State, no?
Yeah. It's well, first of all, Todd Rundgren is another one who seeps into me. I just love most of his stuff. All that old wonderful 70s, like those pop songs he did, are fantastic. Even the heavier stuff, Utopia. I followed him for a little while a few years ago, and I just became obsessed with him. So his sensibilities definitely seep into some of this work as well. But where are we going with this? Oh, Pennsylvania. The album, believe it or not, is a loosely based concept record, and there's a narrative that goes along with it that just hasn't been written yet. So it's not officially written. So there is some story behind the whole Pennsylvania thing and all that kind of stuff. But the general gist of the song is escaping. It's that youthful passion. You don't have to be young to experience it, but it's that youthful passion to escape and make better for yourself. So that's what I Catch Fire is all about.
I love it. You got a track here, Right as Rain. And I never heard of that term. Never heard. And one of my favorite bands, Collective Soul, just put out their 10th studio album for their 25th anniversary, and they have a track, Right as Rain. They opened the show up with it, and I'm like, and I fell in love with the song. And then I listened to you. I'm like, I never heard that term, and I don't know if is it a Southern term?
I don't know the etymology of it, but it's a term I've been familiar with for a long time. And it's one of those things I wrote down on my journal at some point, and I thought, wow, cool, that's a cool expression. I mean, I guess the general meaning is, things are correct, or good, essentially. Right. And I just thought I'd have fun with it. And it's a visual kind of expression, it draws an image in your mind. And I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. So I'm going to have to get after those guys, man. They did the same song I did.
I thought it was cool. All summer long. Was that recorded live, Brian?
No. It's I mean, all the songs on the record. I was talking about before that this is my studio. We were talking before we started recording. And so I do a lot of work here. I also have a live drummer, and he has a studio where he records. And again, this is what's great about living in the era we do. given our current, circumstance with COVID and everything, he's able to record tracks and then send them to me. So his name is Nick DeRico, and I have to tell you, it gives it such a live feel. His approach is wonderful. He keeps emailing me. He's like, "Have you got another song? Have you got another song?" He really wants to work on this stuff, which inspires me. So I send him music, and he'll interpret it and then send me 2 or 3 different takes, and then we'll go back and forth on email or on chat and kind of discuss, alterations. And we did that with All Summer Long as well as all the other songs. And
I mentioned that because I thought I heard there was like an applause at the end.
Yeah,
I was thinking, okay, maybe he did this at one of his shows that he recorded.
No. That was actually that was Nick's idea. Speaking of which, and it's funny. He emailed me. He's like, "I put something at the end of the track that you may or may not want to keep," meaning the applause. And I was like,
no.
I was like,
that's why I asked. I said, okay, maybe he was able to record. Have you ever thought about doing that, Brian? Any one of your live shows, just record if you haven't, and thought about releasing it?
Not so much. I mean, I've got a few live videos up on my YouTube channel. I've not yet ended up with a sound that I like,
Okay.
And I think I would have to make a concerted effort to record it well and get the right sound of the club and to get the right sound of the instruments and the vocal and all that kind of stuff. That said, you're inspiring me. That might be kind of fun when we get back out there to actually try to record some live songs and release some singles or maybe even an album. That would be really fun.
What drives me to love you, Brian, more and more is the diversity of your tracks. You could go from a rock electric guitar to a great piano tuning, ragtime bad things, to a serious The Crossing. I mean, I get my hairs just standing of trying to get a message across of expressing yourself about a whole track of that, even though it's more peaceful, maybe a 2.5-minute track that you're able to scoon out of that. Then I watch Vessel, and what a cool video. Was it raining when you actually did that, or was that the animation?
It was funny because it was last March. It was around this time. I live near a seaport, so I'm able to go there at any time, so I can walk actually to it. So since we were just shutting down everything, I went out there with a camera by myself.
Perfect, right? Nobody there.
Yeah, nobody was there, right? And I thought, well, what a great time. And it was raining like crazy. And it was cold. I remember being really cold. And it stopped raining when I started filming. And I was like, well, that kind of stinks because I really liked the idea of the rain. So I ended up putting the rain over the top of it with a effect. But it was raining all day long. That's why there's puddles. And, funny thing about that video, one of the owners was there. And he was like the only person there, obviously. And I didn't see him for half of the time I was there. And he came over and I was like, okay, stand 6 feet back, please. This was early on in this whole pandemic thing. And he was really cool about it. He was like, no, have fun, man. Shoot whatever. He goes, it's wanted to make sure, you weren't messing around or doing anything, bad here. And I was like, no, I'm just shooting a rock video. But it was fun. Yeah. So that was fake rain. So that's,
like I said, I love your diversity. And when you read some of your bio, alternative, folk, rock, pop. And like I said, I got to watch an interview that's on YouTube, and talks about your punk rock days playing in CBGBs down in the city and getting home at 4:30 in the morning. And even though I kind of got the impression it wasn't your thing, but it was more of a learning experience, I guess, right? That what more can I learn from another genre that maybe down the road I can take away from, which I thought was cool.
Man, you just nailed it. That's exactly why. I find myself, when I look over the past couple of decades, I've gotten involved with a bunch of different styles of music, and it was exactly for that reason. In the early 2000s, I got really involved with I guess you can call it power pop, but it was more punky than that. So it was kind of like, you know, Ramonesy kind of stuff. And it was because a friend of mine who was a drummer said they're looking for a guitar player. Do you want to play? And I was like, I don't really understand that music, but let me, you know, it's not really in my wheelhouse. But I said, yeah, let me try it. And I went down, and the main guy in that group was, you know, he was just playing me a bunch of different songs from that. I was like, you want to do that? I was like, yeah, I can do that. You know, so I got involved. Then I got deeply involved with it. And then they branched into hardcore, which was a whole other, and I got involved with it. And it was, you know, again, none of it's necessarily in my wheelhouse, but to your point, it's about learning and understanding. I mean, I see music as a continuum. You know, I find it interesting that I'm probably odd in this, but I think most people, you know, stick to a genre or two that they really love, and that's their musical landscape. But to me, country is the same as pop. It's the same as hard rock. Same thing as metal. I mean, they're all songs. They're all built on the same foundations. So I look more for the commonality, I guess. But yeah, it's a big learning experience. Right after the punk, the hardcore thing, I saw an ad for an alt country band. And so I sent,
no more Spike here. You get the cowboy hat on now.
Exactly. So I replied, and it's funny. I went to the audition, and I was really nervous. I was like, I just don't know if these guys are gonna, you know, what are they gonna do to me? Are they gonna beat me up? I was like, I really felt odd about it. So I went. And are we allowed to curse on your show?
Absolutely.
So for the first few months, they took me, by the way. They liked me, and I passed the audition. And for the first few months, I referred to them as the shit kickers. I was like, so anybody who was not part of that, you know, I was talking to them about. I was like, yeah, they're the shit kickers, you know. And they anyway. So that was fun. So that brought me into sort of like the folk world and whatnot. So it kind of full circled me and brought me back to more singer-songwritery stuff, which has led me to where I have been for the last, you know.
Yeah, I mean, going outside your boundaries. I mean, that's what it's all about. And
it's so fun. Yeah.
I never, always the fan, going to all these concerts, and then I'm finally get to live my dream on this side of the table and get to hang out with folks like yourself and learning. I'm not a musician. And I got to sit down with Billy Gibbons of ZZ Top for 45 minutes backstage at Foxwoods. And we talked music, we talked cars, we talked, and he would just say to me, Pat Calamari, you got to listen to the blues, brother. Go listen to the blues. You got to go deep. And I'm like, okay. So after driving home and pinching myself going, did this really happen? I'm hanging out with Billy Gibbons, right? And I get home at like 4 a.m, and I don't think I fell asleep. I was just so pumped up. And I put on a little, he's like, Albert King, BB, right. You know, he's going, go deep, you know, John Lee Hooker. And I'm like, wow. And I've been to New Orleans, you know, that whole Delta blues. I've been to Chicago. And, you know, you start to really gravitate to what music is really all about. And I'm blessed to talk to bands from the UK, and I just had Dave Mason on.
No way.
Yeah,
wow.
I had Dave from his home in Maui, and here's a guy that's played with Hendrix, the Beatles, Eric Clapton. I mean, I'm like, Dave, is there one person you would love to play with? And he goes, yeah, Bonnie Raitt. I go, okay. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I said, okay, I'll tag her to our video. I hope it happens. I mean, but
who knows? Maybe you're gonna bring some talent together. That's awesome.
But yeah, like you said, I love country. I started. I was a country western DJ Squid. I started with my cowboy hat. And, went to see Alabama in 1984. They had a thing called the June Jam, where I flew into Nashville, drove to Chattanooga, and you cross over the line. Their hometown is Fort Payne, Alabama, and they did this thing called the June Jam, outdoor field, 2 stages from noon to 11 o'clock at night, and just one country act after another. Ba, 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 ba. And I just always love, I love jazz. I mean, I grew up with, just talking to a friend of mine today, she played a track and I knew right away, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. Said I grew up with it, the Spanish Flea. I'm like, oh my God, yeah. So,
wait, Herb Alpert, that's the A Taste of Honey, is that?
Yeah, Taste of Honey, yep. But deeper, go back in '65, he did like a lot of instrumentals that were just catchy and radio friendly. And she put one on Instagram and said, anybody remember this? And I go, Herb Alpert, Tijuana Brass, is called Lollipop Roses. And it's just it's just like a catchy, like if you were watching Jeopardy and you're waiting for the final answer that somebody was they use like as a backtrack. But yeah, you're right. I mean, who would ever think punk rock, country, hanging out with the boys at the factory. I know you were with Ethan. What was the band? Lines
West.
Yeah, Lines West.
Yeah.
And then did the Uber driver. That was like, that was so cool.
That was fun. That was a really fun day. It was a fun video. That was back when I was working with the factory a lot. And they as I told you the story last time we talked, probably, or several times ago, they just got so into the spirit of it. And it was great fun.
That was a lot of fun. I love them guys. So, hopefully you're back on stage. We got to get you out of Connecticut, though, Brian. Daryl Hall's house is not too far away.
I know. I want to play there very badly. So hopefully, when this gets over, I'll be able to. I was only there once, actually. I saw Joseph Arthur. I think I saw him perform there. So when I went to the show, I was like, I have to play there.
Oh my God, you have a great catalog of music, and it falls, I believe, right in something that they would really look forward to. And I will certainly give you all that info offline on who to contact. And I'm looking for, I can't wait to get back there. It's just, I can't believe my last live show was February 15th, Roger Hodgkin of Supertramp, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Breakfast in America at the Ridgefield Playhouse. And I got to meet him. And I know he only does like maybe 10 shows in the States, even though he lives in California, but a lot of his time is spent in Europe. And I said, I am not missing that. And what a great guy. And growing up, Supertramp and listening to Roger, I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like,
wow, how cool was that?
Yeah. So talking about touring, the craziest thing that's ever happened to you, I know one thing about a keyboard went fly. What a story.
Yeah. Back in the day, this was, I don't know, mid to late 90s. We were going crazy. We were playing 3-4 nights a week in the city. It was craziness. And we were playing this show, and it had a high stage, probably, 3 feet high, and I was up front with my keyboard, and I used to rock it back and forth, and I'd like kind of push it and it would wobble, it was on one of those stands that was kind of,
yeah, you're into it. You're feeling the groove, the energy.
Right. And it's funny because the guys in the band were always like, yeah, dude, that's going to go over one night. Like, no, it won't. I have this under control. So one night we were playing, and like I said, on this tall kind of stage, and I pushed the keyboard and I turned to my left, and, I would let the keyboard kind of rock back and forth on its own. And the singer, his face turned white, and he's like, dude, your keyboard. And I look, and it's slow motion goes off the stage. The people in the audience, nobody tried to catch it. They just kind of backed up, right?
I'd be the guy diving. Oh, no.
Oh, I know. I mean, I was saying, come on, somebody help me out here, So it fell off, and over the loud music, I could hear it hit the floor, So it was like, boom, boom. And it landed upside down, and the keys shot across the floor, and nobody did anything. Everybody just kind of like
left them there,
So after the show, the drummer and I went around and we collected all the keys, and the next day we got together in our studio and we crazy glued it back together, and it worked. I got a couple more years out of it. It was none for the worse, but worse for the where the expression is. It just looked They just look beat up. But
hardworking independent artist, and it goes my instrument, and nobody saves it. It's not like I'm a millionaire.
Oh my God! You know what's
that I
funny?
can replace it tomorrow.
Well, exactly. I mean, in that era, I mean, I had like no money, like none. Everything was, it was literally like, can I borrow $5 for lunch kind of thing, you know? And nobody had any money. We had no money. I had no money. And so I had to glue it back together. I mean, there was no, I could not afford another
You're
one.
like, we got a show tomorrow. What are we doing, Brian?
Yeah, well, luckily we didn't have a show the next day. I think we had one the following, like 2 or 3 days later. Like, but it was we got it together, you know. And you know, I the way I thought,
we laugh about it today, but I'm sure you weren't laughing that night.
Well, actually, I was. That's what's funny. About the guys in that band slowly got annoyed with me because it started off where we were a big band. We had like 6 or 7 members, and we'd have a keyboard player, and you know, I played guitar and I sang, and eventually, you know, we just whittled it down to more. We were more like a rock band at that point in time, and I got to a level where I stopped bringing keyboards out because I was like, well, I have to bring my guitar and my amp out, so now I got to bring the keyboards too. You know, this is how I was thinking. So when that happened, I was kind of like, well, if I can't fix it, I just won't bring the keyboard. And I think the other guys were they were like, dude, why don't you bring the key? This was long after that, but they were like, why don't you bring the keyboards anymore? I'm like, because I don't want to. You know?
Yeah, they're pretty simple.
It's a whole other world, man. I was, you know, when you're young, you think different, you know. So.
I also found out that you got a song that was in a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Right.
And it gets me to think, with all the catalog of great tunes that you have, I see a lot of artists using that maybe as an option for revenue compared to the whole Spotify and this and that. So you had a taste of it back in, I don't know what year it was, but any thought of sending that out? I don't even know how that process works.
Yeah, it's well, everybody wants to do it now, and it's something, as you're saying, it's very
almost a common theme, like
alternative stream of revenue. At the time, it wasn't quite as out in the open. People didn't really talk about it nearly as much. But it was the same band I'm talking about with the keyboard, and we had already broken up, but we put out a little record, and we had a song on there called "My Beautiful Life," and somehow the producer of the Sylvester Stallone movie heard it, and he fell in love with the song, and he thought it would be perfect for the movie. So he hit us up like literally like a month and a half before the release of the movie. He's like, I have a movie that I really want to use your song in. Can we use it? And we're like, of course, you know. So we went through the whole licensing rigmarole. I had to do a quick learn on how that all works, and how the money works, and how the licensing itself works. And so we did it, and it is a nice stream of revenue. It really is. I mean, they pay you up front, especially a big production like that. They'll pay you up front for the use of it. So there's 2 pieces. There's the mechanical, and then there's the writers or the publishing of it. So since we owned all the masters, and we own the master, and we own the rights to the publishing, we got to split both those pieces of it. And then there was also residuals, because I co-wrote the song that went on for a while. And what was interesting about it was I kind of had a feeling this was going to be the case. This was almost like, it wasn't a big blockbuster in the movies, right, or in the theaters.
I was going to ask, which movie was it, and did it do anything? Or
yeah, it was a movie called Driven. It was one with the race cars.
Okay.
Yeah, Burt Reynolds was in it, like, and he was really old at the time, and it was I don't know, it just didn't do that well in the theater, which I didn't expect it to. But what it did do was it was played everywhere for years on cable TV.
Wow.
Long time. I mean, I still get residuals from it, albeit not that much. But the first few years, you know, I'd get quarterly, I'd get a happy surprise in the form of a check and I'd be like, whoa, okay. So if you could secure a lot of those kinds of placements, you can make a decent amount of money. And I don't mean rich, but I mean, you know, where you're
right.
able to
another stream, just something.
right, exactly, something to pay for your work. So that was a real nice experience, and it was fun. Funny story is, and I shared this with the other interviewer, Eric, that you were talking about before, was well, I was of course excited. So when the movie came out, I went over to the theater, and it was a Tuesday night, I remember specifically, and I went completely by myself. I'm like, I'm gonna go see this movie. My song is dead. I have to go see it. And I went, and there was nobody in the theater except for like
No.
honestly. And I watched the movie, and I'm you know, it's just not my cup of tea. I was bored. It was just not something that interested me. And it just wasn't that good. My opinion.
Right.
So I sat through the whole movie, and our song comes up over the credits, which is actually it's a good thing though. That's actually a good thing because the way it's weighed financially, if there's dialogue over it, it changes how much it's valued.
Oh wow. Didn't know that.
They play less time of it. So we had a good like 2 minutes and 45 seconds of our song actually played. So that ups how much value or how much weight
Gotcha.
Your composition or your song has. So that that worked in our favor. So I waited until the end of the movie, and it was like, our song, when's it going to come up? And it finally came up, and I was standing in the aisle, you know, watching the credits, and the guy cleaning came over, and he's like, "Excuse me, sir, can you get out of my way?" And
I'm finally get to hear my song, and you deflate me.
He totally deflated me, exactly. And I kind of like walked out of the theater, you know, like kind of with my head hung low. You know, it was funny. It was definitely a funny experience.
But we can't wait for you to go. Say again,
no,
Brian.
I was just gonna say, I do have a couple other placements. I have an AT&T ad, you know, so there's a couple of things that that have come my way, you know, that are helpful in that way, and it's a really competitive market now, as far as I can tell. I you know, to get involved with that, everybody wants to do. Everybody's hitting up licensing supervisors, and you know, et cetera. You know, we have libraries now, licensing libraries, where you put stuff out, and you know, you kind of fingers crossed that somebody likes what you're doing, you know, that kind of thing. But so that was my Sylvester Stallone moment.
That's a great story. Well, I mean, that's cool. You know, I'm thinking, if you played the CBGBs in the punk band, did you play Lone Star in the country, the venue Lone Star in the country band? Because I've been to both of them.
No, we played not Lone Star. There was another one that was popular. It had a bull's head on the stage. What was it called? Wait, where's Lone Star? Was that in? That's not in Times Square, is it?
No.
Okay,
So are you thinking of Johnny Utah's?
No, we didn't play there. We played at this place in Times Square that was well known. It was like, it is named like Lone Star. I don't remember what it was. But the other place I'm thinking of, I can't remember was.
No, see, this Lone Star was like near CBGB's. It was down.
Oh no, we did not play there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking you went from Spike here. He's not the guy at CBGB's. Now he's got a cowboy hat on.
I don't know, man. Music is music to me. It's all interconnected, and it's funny because I think some people might think that, I don't know, that's insincere or something, but to me, it's music. I love music. Music speaks to me on a really, really deep level, and sometimes that transcends style. Sometimes it transcends genre. You know, it's. I love melody. I love lyrical content. I love the way instruments work together. You know, punk had a certain energy that I loved, you know.
When you want to put that greatest hits track, you call me, and I'll give you an idea of the top 10 Pat Calamari greatest Brian Larney hits tracks.
Let's do
another
it.
option.
It's cheap to do now, man. Let's do it. If you could pick, you know, 10 of them.
Oh my God, I could pick at least 10. I mean, you can pick almost all of these from White.
Well, thank you.
Just the White sold me over the top. I mean, Bad Things, The Crossing. I mean, I'm like, okay.
Quick funny story about Bad Things. You know, nowadays artists have to get more involved with, you know, interacting with prospective fans and people who might like your music, you know. So I got involved with this program where I was actually instant messaging and discussing and going back and forth with people and say, hey, do you like my record? You know, that kind of stuff. And this one woman got on and she said the funniest thing. She's like, I listen to your music. I really like it. She goes, but Bad Things has kind of a negative message. And I'm just like,
what?
That's what I thought. And the thing that made, right? Because it's
what's negative about it? It's a great track.
She took it literally, you know, because it's like, you know, bad things happen all the time.
Oh, geez.
You know, it's not serious.
It's a comical track.
Exactly. So you reacted the same way I did. I was kind of like polite, but I was like, wow.
Hey,
really?
Thanks for your comment. And yeah, maybe I'll make another edition of that.
It just struck me funny. So
Brian, where can everybody find you on social media? BrianLarney.com is the website. I know you're on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, I believe, or all that.
Yes. Yep. Facebook.com/Brian Larney Music, Twitter.com/Brian Larney, which I don't really do Twitter all that much. And YouTube is kind of a big place for me. I love to do music videos, as we talked about before. So YouTube.com/Brian Larney. If you get a chance, please subscribe. I'm trying to build the channel, so it'd be really cool. So
I love it. And the album was called I Catch Fire. It came out February 5th. And you could buy the whole thing, and please do, on bandcamp.com as we celebrate Blarney Day, the day before St. Patrick's. We might have to make this an annual thing, Brian. You know?
Yeah. And thank you for wearing the shirt, man. I'm honored.
Absolutely. It's time to rock a little, Brian Larney, with I Catch Fire right here on Pat Soundbites IGTV.
Thank you so much.
State wants to keep me. No, hear the cleaning up downtown. I've got plans to leave here. Oh, I catch fire from the inside. I catch fire. Sleep from my eyes before daylight. The pavement at 4 a.m. Of all the days in my life, of all the schemes I made, I catch fire from the inside. I catch fire from the inside. The key